Are you tired of feeling stuck in a cycle of self-centeredness? Do you struggle to empathize with others and connect on a deeper level? Well, this video is here to help you break free from the chains of selfishness and cultivate a more compassionate heart. In this video, we'll delve into the dangers of selfishness and how it can harm your relationship, how it can harm our mental health, and even our own sense of purpose. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. We'll also explore practical strategies for cultivating empathy and compassion, drawing on both psychological research and the teachings of the Bible. And because I believe that learning is best when it is fun, we'll also dive into real life stories and practical examples to help you understand these concepts and apply them in your own life. Whether you are looking to strengthen your relationships, find more meaning in your life, or simply become a more loving and kind person, this video is for you. So get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. Together, we'll learn how to break free from the chains of selfishness and become agents of love, kindness, and compassion in our world today. Selfishness is a complex and multifaceted behavior. It can have a number of negative consequences both for the individual and those around them. But how do we define selfishness, and what are some of the most common ways in which it manifests? Well, to start, selfishness can be broadly defined as a focus on one's own needs, interests, and desires. Often, it is at the expense of others. It can manifest in variety of ways, such as ignoring the needs and feelings of others, refusing to compromise, taking credit for others' work, or hoarding resources. As human beings, we are wired to be self-centered to some degree. We all have our own desires, we have our own needs and goals. And it's natural to prioritize ourselves and our own interests. However, when this self-centeredness becomes extreme, it goes to the extreme, and we start to prioritize our own wants and needs at the expense of others, it can lead to negative consequences for ourselves and those around us. Selfishness can damage our relationships. It can isolate us from others and even harm our mental health. When we are constantly focused on ourselves, we are unable to truly connect with others and to form meaningful, fulfilling relationships. We may also struggle with feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. As a result of our self-absorption, we will become an island. But the good news is that it is possible to break free from the cycle of selfishness and cultivate empathy and compassion. By shifting our focus from ourselves to others, we can start to understand and appreciate their perspective and experiences and build deeper, more meaningful relationship with those around us. Have you ever looked into the mirror and been so in love with your own reflection that you couldn't take your eyes off it, reveling in your own beauty and self-importance? While this may seem like a harmless fun, it's actually a powerful metaphor for the dangers of selfishness. When we are consumed with our own desires, needs, and goals, we become like someone kissing the mirror, obsessed with our own reflections and blind to the needs and perspectives of others. We may see ourselves as the center of the universe, but in reality, we are isolating ourselves from the world around us and damaging our relationship in the process. There is a powerful story in the Bible that illustrates the importance of empathy and compassion and the negative consequences of selfishness. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. In this story, a man is traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho when he is attacked by robbers and left for dead on the side of the road. Two religious leaders, a priest and a Levite, they see the man but pass by on the other side of the road. They are unwilling to help. It's a Samaritan, a member of a group despised by the Jews. He stops and cares for the wounded man, taking him to an inn and paying for his care. This story teaches us many important lessons. First, it reminds us of the importance of compassion and empathy for our fellow human beings. The Samaritan was willing to help someone in need, even though it was inconvenient and it went against cultural norms of that time. We too should be willing to extend a helping hand to those in need, even if it requires some sacrifice on our part. Secondly, the story challenges us to look beyond our own biases and prejudices. The Samaritan was a member of a group that was despised by the Jews, yet he was the one who acted with compassion and kindness. The Jews and the Samaritan had a long history of hostilities and animosity towards each other. There were many cultural and religious differences between the two groups, and they generally avoided contact with one another. The fact that the Samaritan stopped to help a Jew, therefore, was surprising and unexpected. The religious leaders who passed by the wounded man were likely following religious cultural norms that prioritized their own purity and status over the well-being of others. In Jewish tradition, certain types of contacts with a dead body could render a person ritually impure and unable to participate in certain religious activities. So these religious leaders may have been afraid of becoming unclean or breaking religious laws by coming in contact with a bleeding man. However, Jesus' message in this parable is clear, and it is that such cultural and religious norms should not take priority over showing compassion and love to those in need. The Good Samaritan, who was considered an outsider and was despised by the religious establishment of that time, demonstrated true love and compassion by helping the wounded man regardless of his own safety or status. We too should be willing to set aside our prejudices and treat others with love and respect regardless of their race, religion, or social status. Let love, compassion take priority over cultural and religious norms. Finally, this story warns us of the dangers of selfishness and self-centeredness. The priests and the Levites were more concerned with their own purity and religious obligations than with the need of the wounded man. But the Samaritan was willing to put aside his own needs and desires to help someone else. As Christians, we are called to love our neighbors as ourselves and to extend kindness and compassion to all, regardless of their cultural or religious background. The story of the Good Samaritan reminds us of the importance of living out the commandments of God in our daily lives, and of the ways in which we can break down cultural barriers, break down barriers that we have built through religion, and build bridges of compassion and understanding. One way to do this is to practice active listening. Now, instead of constantly talking about yourself, your own experience, we can take a conscious effort to listen to others and understand their thoughts, their feelings and experiences. This can help us develop a deeper sense of empathy and compassion. It can foster stronger and more authentic relationships. Another important strategy is to practice gratitude. By focusing on the things we are grateful for in our lives, we can shift our focus away from our own desires and needs and towards the needs of others. This can help us become more aware of the needs, the challenges of others, and more willing to help and support them. Ultimately, breaking free from selfishness requires a conscious effort to shift our focus from ourselves to others and to cultivate a deep sense of empathy and compassion. By doing so, we can build a stronger, more meaningful relationship, find greater fulfillment and purpose in our lives, and make a positive impact on the world around us. So, how can we overcome selfishness and cultivate a more positive, others-focused mindset? Let's start by looking at the psychological research. One effective strategy for overcoming selfishness is to build empathy. Empathy is about understanding and appreciating the perspective and experiences of others, even if they differ from our own. By developing greater empathy, we can reduce our self-focus and better connect with others. There are many ways to build empathy, including practicing active listening, engaging in role-play exercises where you put yourself in the shoes of others, and exposing ourselves to diverse perspectives through reading, watching, or listening to media that represents different viewpoints. Another key strategy is to identify and prioritize our values. Our values are the principles and beliefs that guide our behavior and help us make decisions that are in line with our goals and beliefs. By identifying our values and aligning our actions with them, we can reduce our self-focus and act in ways that are more others-focused. Now let's turn to the Bible for some wisdom on overcoming selfishness. In Philippians 2 from verse 3 to 4, we read, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility valuing others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but of you to the interest of the others." This passage highlights the importance of humility and putting the needs of others above our own. By adopting a humble mindset and seeking to serve others, we can reduce our self-focus and cultivate greater empathy and compassion. Overcoming selfishness is easier said than done. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to be introspective, open to change. But by building empathy, identifying our values, and adopting a humble mindset, we can begin to overcome our self-focus and find greater fulfillment in our relationships and lives. Let me remind you again, practice active listening. When engaging in conversation with others, make an effort to truly listen to what they are saying and seek to understand their perspective. Identify your value. That's the second one. Take some time to reflect on the principles and beliefs that guide your behavior. How can you align your actions more closely to your values? Seek out diverse perspectives. Make an effort to expose yourself to different viewpoints, whether through reading, watching, or listening to media that represent different perspectives. Cultivate a humble mindset. Practice acts of service and seek to put the needs of others above your own. Remember, overcoming selfishness is a journey, not a destination. But with patience, persistence, and willingness to learn and grow, we can all find greater fulfillment in our relationships and our lives. True transformation is only possible through a relationship with Jesus Christ. He is the ultimate example of selflessness. He showed us what it truly means to love and serve others, even to the point of sacrificing his own life for our sake. In essence, the biblical example of Jesus presents us with the ultimate model of selflessness, and we are called to imitate his example in our own lives. By doing so, we can become agents of love, compassion, and transformation in a world that desperately needs it. So, if you are struggling with selfishness, I invite you to consider giving your life to Jesus and asking him to transform your heart and mind. He will guide you to the path towards greater love, empathy, and selflessness. Thank you for watching. I believe you enjoyed the content. Please consider subscribing so that you don't miss awesome contents like this. Have a lovely day and cheers to your success.